Every month, Jake gets paid exactly the same salary he's earned for the past 3 years. He isn't getting a raise, he isn't working overtime, and he isn't starting a side hustle. Yet somehow, life keeps getting more expensive. His grocery bill has gone up. His car insurance costs more than last year. Even his favorite takeout meal costs a few dollars extra. By the end of the month, Jake always asks himself the same question: where did all my money go? If you've ever felt like Jake, you're not alone. The problem isn't always that you're earning too little. Sometimes it's inflation, the silent wealth killer that's quietly reducing what your money can buy. Think of inflation like a tiny hole in your wallet. Every day, your money slowly loses a little bit of its purchasing power. Even if your bank balance stays the same, that money buys fewer groceries, less gas, and fewer everyday necessities than it did a few years ago. The good news? You don't always need to earn more money to beat inflation. Sometimes, making smarter decisions with the money you already have is enough. Jake decided to test this idea. Instead of assuming inflation was impossible to fight, he spent one evening reviewing the last 6 months of his bank statements. He noticed something interesting. His biggest increases weren't random purchases. They were recurring expenses: groceries, transportation, insurance, streaming subscriptions, and eating out. Rather than cutting everything he enjoyed, Jake focused on the expenses that mattered most. He canceled subscriptions he never used, planned meals before grocery shopping to reduce waste, compared insurance quotes before renewing, and switched a few household products to less expensive brands that worked just as well. These small changes added up to real savings every month. Next, Jake looked at where he kept his money. Most of his emergency savings had been sitting in a regular savings account, earning almost nothing. While inflation kept rising, his money wasn't keeping up. He moved his emergency fund into a higher-yield savings account so it could earn more interest while remaining accessible for emergencies. It didn't completely eliminate inflation, but it helped reduce the gap between rising prices and the growth of his savings. Then Jake noticed another problem. He had been carrying a balance on his credit card. As interest rates increased, that debt became even more expensive. Every month, a larger portion of his payment was going toward interest instead of reducing the balance. So he made paying off that high-interest debt his top priority. Every dollar of interest he avoided paying was money that stayed in his pocket instead. After that, Jake reviewed his monthly bills. Some services had quietly increased their prices without him noticing. He called his internet provider, compared cell phone plans, and negotiated where he could. For expenses that allowed it, he chose fixed pricing instead of variable rates, giving himself more predictable monthly costs. Finally, Jake thought about his long-term future. For years, he'd believed that investing could wait until he earned more money. But he realized something important. Leaving all of his money in cash meant inflation would continue eating away at its value year after year. So instead of trying to perfectly time the market, he began investing consistently in a diversified portfolio. He understood that investments can go up and down, but over the long term, diversified investments have historically had better potential to outpace inflation than simply holding cash. He also automated his savings and investments so the money was transferred before he had a chance to spend it. A few months later, Jake wasn't making a single dollar more than before. But he noticed something had changed. His savings were growing faster. His debt was shrinking. His monthly expenses were under control, and he no longer felt like inflation was winning. Here's the biggest lesson. Beating inflation isn't about making one huge financial move. It's about making several smart decisions that work together. Track your spending so you know where your money is going. Focus on reducing your biggest recurring expenses before worrying about small purchases. Avoid letting cash sit idle by using accounts that earn competitive interest. Pay off high-interest debt as quickly as possible. Invest consistently with a diversified portfolio to give your money the opportunity to grow faster than inflation over the long run. And whenever possible, automate your savings so building wealth becomes a habit instead of a decision you have to make every month. Remember, inflation may be unavoidable, but losing control of your finances isn't. You don't have to earn more to get ahead. Sometimes, the smartest way to build wealth is simply learning how to make every dollar work harder. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to Mr. Whyzer, where every week we turn complicated money topics into simple stories that help you build a better financial future.